Hey, what's happening, people? Welcome back to another Arkham City DLC Extreme Challenge Dick Grayson thing. I've officially run out of images, which is like the first time that I've actually run out of really cool looking Arkham-inspired thumbnail art. So I tried to find some Nightwing stuff, and that's what it is. It's can't even do mods or anything, but I'm officially out of thumbnails. Like, at this point, either I'm going to end up recycling images, or I'm just going to move on to, like, Arkham Asylum challenge maps, because I don't have any more pictures. I've used I've used everything I've ever collected over the years. Oh, yeah, this series has gone on way too long. So this is the 100 and... For the Arkham Trilogy collection, this is officially the 107th video of Arkham Trilogy since November 30th. So we have 109 live streams for the Arkham Trilogy collection. And that's, you know, Arkham Asylum all the way through Arkham Knight. That's a lot of videos. And to put that in comparison, so with Arkham Origins stuff that we did on this channel, there were about 45 live streams. And we weren't able to complete the game 100%. This game we might be able to complete 100%, but I've officially run out of thumbnails. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to have to either come up with a new design template or something. I don't know. No idea. Alright. So there's only 2 skins for Nightwing, so we're doing Arkham City, because we can. We've done most of these. We've done most of these. I don't feel like doing a Predator map just yet, so we're going to warm up with a beatdown. Next time we need the disco collar, I'll see what I can do, M.A. I'll see what I can do, man. I don't know. I'm just calling it Dick Grayson. Alright, let's go. Let's go, let's go. If you guys have any questions for me, feel free. I'm kind of winding down all the Suicide Squad videos I've been editing. I've also been making Suicide Squad style documentary videos talking about why the game failed, and so I've been burning the candle at both ends. Like I'm literally, I've only had 4 hours sleep today, so I'm amazed that I was even able to get through the Final Fantasy stream, because I was running around in circles because I had no brain power left. I couldn't think anymore. So that's where I was. I need to wash Suicide Squad out of my brain. Oh no, it's already damaged Arkham for me. And I got woken up today by Arkham videos. Like he DM'd me. If anybody... Do you guys want to know how Arkham Videos talks? Like, behind the scenes? He's very articulate. Okay. I'm bored, so I'm gonna do that. Alright. So what do you think of my new video, Luke? Nice vid. Are you sure that he's gonna return in December? And he's like... I never suggested that Batman will return in December. The significance of the December date being the 14th is because 14 corresponds to N, the 14th letter in the alphabet. And December is the last month of the year, which means the N should be placed at the end of the phrase. This is used just to spell out return. The actual dates don't mention anything, they just used as a code for the message he will return. Perhaps the video is a bit confusing and I should have explained it better. I said, no worries dude, you're fine. Thanks for telling me. Though, some people are saying December based on your vid, just giving you heads up. Anyway, I'm going back to sleep. Then he's like, by the way, it could also mean it's a reference to Calendar Man, even though I don't see why they would use the bat symbol for a final letter. So you see how he like he talks all fancy, and I'm just kind of like, sup. Yeah. So I mean, it was just like, no problem. I'm not inadvertently giving people false hope by leading them to think something Batman related will happen in December. I was like, no problem, man. Always fun chatting with you. I'm going back to bed. Later, AV. That's how he talks, though. I kid you not. The dude uses like when I'm tired too, and he writes like these really long things. I'm kind of like, okay. But he's always been like that. Some people doubt that we're friends, so it's like I've thought about like actually posting our DMs over the years, but I think people would be like, wait, that's how he actually communicates? It's like, yeah, pretty much. He's very I don't know. I really think the dude is much older than me. I use very blunt, very simple wording, and like he writes like these very nice, like I wouldn't say poetry things. I don't know. He's very professional, I guess I would say, is how AV types. Just how it is. Yeah, but the cool thing is I got to find out about his video before he dropped it. I was kind of a comatose zombie at the time, but so basically all these people started making videos off what Arkham Video said, and they were like, Batman's coming back December 8th, and I'm like, hey dude, you might want to clarify that it doesn't mean it's happening in December, because people are using you as a source for this. And he's like, oh, yeah, okay. So that's why he posted his tweet, like I think it was later in the day or the next day. He was like, just to clarify, I'm not saying December, blah blah blah. So, I mean, obviously he doesn't want to get in trouble, and I don't think that they can really wait that long to have Batman come back, if that's true or not.
Don't worry, Nightwing.
Whoop.
This won't...
Bup. Dead. I can't believe I've known that dude for so long. It's gotta be going on 12 years. Alright guys and gals, let's get those likes up. And stuff. Yeah, this is what exhausted Kwing sounds like. I've got no energy. I got nothing left. I'm just like, I don't know. I'm here. Kinda. I got nothing. I'm just kind of.
You're gonna die in Arkham
You're gonna
City.
die tonight, Nightwing. Yeah. Whoa.
Your mommy won't know who you are.
Your mommy won't know who you are. I don't know who I am. Well, I didn't think the new thumbnail would work very well. I couldn't find any more images. I'm all out of images. I tried to make that, I think that's a 90s Nightwing figurine. Oh, Amber was like, what would you really like for your birthday? I was like, I said a Steam Deck so I can do Arkham mods. And she was like, yeah, no. And I was like, well, you asked me what I wanted. Because I'm thinking in the long run, maybe I'll make more money doing modded videos of Arkham, but I can't afford a Steam Deck. It's like $400. We're saving up money for the Switch successor, so. Nah. Boink. You're ours, Nightwing. Oh, I already got 3 medals. That's awesome. Yeah, so I'm gonna be, when Amber does her stream, I won't be able to moderate the chat, because as soon as this stream ends and I wake her up, I'm gonna be comatose until at least like 7 in the morning. So I don't, just heads up, I don't think the Suicide Squad part 15 or 16 or whatever stupid episode is going up. Death of Batman and Superman tomorrow. I don't think it's going up at 7, because I won't be up at 7. I'm just letting you know. I won't. I'll be sleeping from 11 o'clock p.m. until probably 8 in the morning. And then I'll get up and I'll upload the Suicide Squad. So it'll be like around a 10 o'clock air date tomorrow. Because I've got nothing in the tank anymore. Remember, guys and gals, to like and share the video to get people in. Although if this is our last Arkham stream for a while, I'm getting kind of burned out, so. Because this stream's not doing well. I blame the thumbnail. I don't think the thumbnail's very good. And for whatever reason, I lost 30 subscribers the other day. I don't even know why. I was actually going back the day that it says I lost 30 subscribers. I didn't talk about anything controversial on the channel. Didn't even talk anything controversial the day before. It was the day after I said some stuff about the Suicide Squad. So it's kind of like, that's weird. Why did I randomly have 30 people just unsub? I hate that, because then it impacts my live streams. Then I gotta start all over again. Yeah, I know Shredder is out. Shredder and Fortnite will be tomorrow night. Tomorrow, Saturday. I don't have time on the schedule, and also Amber has the midnight shift tonight. I don't have the midnight shift. I barely have the 8:30 9 o'clock shift tonight. I'm hanging in there, guys. I'm trying. I'm trying. Gotcha. Yeah. Arkham City will be the last thing you see. No, the last thing I'm gonna see is the pudding cup. Because I'm gonna have a pudding cup before I go to bed. Because I've earned it. I've earned that pudding cup. Down! There, you're down. Goodbye. Yatta! Oh, I'm totally beat. Yeah, I even mentioned this, like, because I'm tired of stupid people. Like, I have a video coming up. It's about 45 minutes long. I've been working on it for the past 3 days now, so it's about, I think out of 43 minutes I have maybe 7 minutes of it edited, like, with video footage. And in the video I talk about, like, why people are angry and why the Suicide Squad failed. And it is, I don't, you know, it is not doing good. It has a smaller install base than the Avengers did, or Guardians of the Galaxy. Even Gotham Knights has more people currently playing the game on both Steam and PlayStation, all this other stuff. So I have no idea how they're spinning this, because if this game was really doing as well as people would say, then Warner Brothers would be bragging about how many millions of copies they've sold. I don't even think they've sold 1 million copies yet. I've talked to all my journalist friends, and even people that work at, like, the NPD sales company, which I think is located either in California or New York City, I don't remember. But nobody knows the actual sales for Suicide Squad. Especially when you add all the refunds that happened and everything like that. Nobody actually knows the concrete number, and they won't know for several months. What they can tell me is the game's not flying off store shelves, and they expect, like, the game to go on sale as soon as probably the spring. Because it didn't, you know, it didn't meet players' expectations. And I mean, the gameplay is fine, but what really bogs the game down for a lot of people is the story. Like, there are a couple starch defenders of the story, but those are people that, you know, from what I've seen in my own comment section, they've never played the Arkham games. So you can't go and, well, I mean, technically if it's your first game, I suppose you could be like something else, but the reason why people were so angry, it has to do with, like, the argument that I've seen from a lot of, like, I don't even know, there's so many different terms to describe stuff. But I always like going back to the old, like, early 2000s mannerisms of, like, SJW. I think that kind of, you know, works for those mindset for those crazy people more than whatever terminology they use now, woke or almost like MSG or whatever it's called. I don't know, SGC, SG, I don't know. They keep changing stuff. So I'll just stick with the 2000s way of explaining crazy people. But with those people, like, they don't know good writing because they're trying to compare a new work with the older works, which the older works were just focused on the characters and the world that they lived in, whereas the games today, they focus on more like what the writer is experiencing in their day-to-day life or what they perceive as happening in their day-to-day life. So it's not the same type of writing style, because we call that like author inserts, and it pretty much is. Whereas I've challenged people before who usually block me on Twitter, but I say, alright, you say that Suicide Squad is the same as the writing style Paul Dini or Sefton Hill. I said, can you point out to me in the games where it had any political messaging? Like where literally Batman or any of the thugs like talked about either voting or talked about global warming or talked about rights for men and women, whatever. Can you point out one instance that it happened to prove to me that the Arkham series has always been, you know, catered to SJWs? And they can't. And so their response is they block me. But it's like, I mean, it just proves my point, though. I had one person come back to me years ago and they said, well, I mean, you realize that Arkham City is all about sanctuary cities. It's like, what are you talking about? We didn't even use the term sanctuary cities until the pandemic. Try again. It's like, no one understood what was happening in Arkham City, and if it was like that, like, subtle of a political messaging. Like, you do realize that Paul Dini, when he was making the Arkham City story, he was basically doing, like, his own version of Cataclysm, War Games, and, oh, what was the name of that famous Batman storyline? Cataclysm, War Games, one where after Cataclysm, after the earthquake, where people are all No Man's Land. That's it. Tired K-Wing still wins. No Man's Land, because like you had all these different factions in No Man's Land, and they were all like, you know, trying to take over Gotham after the Cataclysm event. So you had Cataclysm with the earthquake. And then after Cataclysm, immediately followed No Man's Land, where Gotham was, you know, kind of adrift in a sense, and the rest of the world had cut it off after the huge accident that happened, and it became kind of like a Mad Max society in a sense. Like, Gotham was cut off from the rest of the world, and all the criminals were taking over. So Arkham City is basically, it's not about sanctuary cities. That's stupid. That's wrong. It has to do with, oh, I failed. It has to do with it's like kind of a reimagining or a reinterpretation of the three Batman arcs that lined up: Cataclysm, No Man's Land, and War Games. That's basically what Dini was doing. So the person who said that was wrong, and then they blocked me because they didn't want to, you know, they didn't challenge it. But I mean, it just proves my point. If you go back through all the previous Arkham games before Suicide Squad, the only thing that's happening around those characters in like a circular motion that impacts their greater area of understanding is just the consequences of the world that they're living in, not the consequences of the world that the author is living in. Whereas the Suicide Squad game, they like to interject a lot of nonsense that kind of bogs down the story. Because one moment you'll have the Suicide Squad talking about something significant to the Brainiac invasion, and then the next moment you'll have Harley or King Shark or Captain Boomerang echoing points from Twitter and Facebook and Reddit and other places, which again never happened in the previous Arkham games, because the author wanted you to be enveloped in the world that you were, you know, witnessing. Like, he wanted to give you that kind of like Batman the Animated Series episode, but for a video game format. So he wanted to just completely distract you from everything going on, and just so your primary focus would be on, you are Batman. You are being, you know, dragged into this world like Captain N from the 80s, like being sucked into the television. That's what Sefton Hill and Paul Dini did when they wrote their games, is they were trying to make an entertainment that would basically transform you into that world, like propel you into that situation where you would think like Batman, you would experience what it is to be Batman. And the disconnect with the Suicide Squad game that constantly happens is, like, it's like a ping pong match going back and forth. They're trying to do their own story with the Brainiac stuff every once in a while, and then they pull you out of that world by interjecting the author's opinions, which is, you know, whatever their point of view is, whatever SJWs think, you know? And it distracts you from the game itself because you're trying to immerse yourself in the experience and be like, oh my gosh, half the world's population has been vaporized and most of Metropolis is all sand people and sand pillars and what have you. And then Harley Quinn and Deadshot will start talking about something that's happening in the world today. And it's like, is that actually going on in the Suicide Squad world? No, I think they have more primary concerns than who's voting for who. The president probably is a pillar of sand right now, you know? It doesn't matter. It's a nothing burger. Like, they don't actually know how... And I think a lot of it has to do with writers today actually don't know how to transport themselves into the world that they're creating. They can't help but continually add their life experiences that, honestly, I mean, I hate to say this, but it's true. No one cares about the author's opinion. What they care about is the world that they're trying to immerse themselves in. They could care less about the author, what the author believes. The author doesn't matter. The author isn't a celebrity. They're not Paul Dini. They're not Bruce Timm. They're nobodies. They're just some, you know, yahoos off the street writing a video game. No one cares about them. Nobody cares what they think about. They care about is the characters they're writing about. You know what I mean? I mean, I know it's mean to say it like that, but it's true. It's like most people don't care about you. They just care about the work that you're creating. Or the work that you're adding to. It's just reality. Where are we? Extreme survival. Yeah, but again, like, my main argument in that video I'm working on too is the Suicide Squad game wouldn't have failed if it wasn't connected to the Arkhamverse, because no one would care. I bet you $1 million no one would say that Deadshot being black would bother anybody, because they would assume, okay, this is a brand new DC universe. You know, they're doing the whole multiverse thing. Harley Quinn doesn't act like Arkham Harley. Deadshot is obviously not the Deadshot that was from the Arkham games. And all these other characters that were supposedly dead in the Suicide Squad animated movie, they're all here. You know? It doesn't matter. It's not connected to the Arkham. This is a new experience. So you could basically do whatever you want to the Suicide Squad. You wouldn't have, like, this massive backlash. No one would care. Guarantee it. I wouldn't have said anything about Deadshot. I'd be like, oh, Deadshot's black in this universe. Doesn't matter. The only reason I stood up for stuff is because the game itself is supposed to be a continuation of an established universe. And also, the fact that they literally tainted the Arkham Batman, who was, you know, left on a high note after society basically went to the crapper. So they had to resurrect, just like they did with Star Wars and Indiana Jones, a character that was untainted and then smeared them. That's the problem I have. I don't even really remember making a big stink about Gotham Knights Batman dying. I don't think I appreciated his speech because it was stupid. But, I mean, the character kind of went out in a satisfying way, I guess. And while people were sad about the outcome of Arkham Knight back in the day, where, you know, we wouldn't get any more Arkham stories because it was a pretty concise conclusion about what happened to Batman, you know, he kind of got to go out on his own way. He faked his own death, and that was it for Batman. No more Batman games. You know, people kind of came to grips with that eventually, but people were pretty upset when it happened. They're like, oh, why did you do this? Because most people were like, wait a second, you doing this means there's no more Arkham games, because Arkham Batman is now either dead or he's become like a Chris Nolan Inception ending. There were people that weren't very happy about that. You know? But at the same time, Rocksteady treated that character's ending with respect and dignity. They honored all the previous works, everything matched up, and it was a satisfying conclusion, so that when fans went and they replayed the older games, they still kind of had like a, well, you know, we kind of know how the final chapter ends, and while I may not agree with it, at least it was done in a tasteful way. There's nothing tastefully done about the Suicide Squad game. Whether or not they're clones or not, it was still handled very sloppily and poorly and mean-spirited and stuff like that. So for some people, they're not going to play through the DLC to see all the additional story add-ons they're going to do and, you know, try to be like, aha, we had a plan this whole time. They didn't have a plan. They're still working on the story as we speak. They're probably using YouTubers' videos and people chatting on Twitter as a basis to complete their story. They probably had no idea. Their plan probably was continue to resurrect Justice League members from other multiverses and have you kill them. Because remember what they said in the game? Brainiac has taken over 16 realities and defeated the Justice League and other places. So I was assuming where they were going with everything is that the Justice League and other universes would be murdered by us as well. But now that's probably not the case. You know? So I think that the story has changed based on the outrage, and, you know, maybe Batman will be coming back. I was trying to ask AV about his video to see if, because he had access to the alpha, and I was trying to ask him, did the calendar stuff appear in the alpha? Do you remember that stuff? Were you searching for it? And then if that stuff was in the alpha, then I would say, yeah, okay, the plan always was to bring Batman back, but if this was added once the game actually went live, then no, that was based on outrage that they planned on, you know, doing something with Batman. And if the character does come back and he doesn't have any dialogue, then, well, they did the Duke thing then, didn't they? Ow. You guys know what I mean by the Duke thing, right? Like, G.I. Joe, Duke fights Serpentor, he gets stabbed at the end, he dies, but then at the very end of the movie, all the G.I. Joes are celebrating, and Doc calls off panel, and he says, I just want everyone to know, Duke's gonna be okay! So I kind of see that same thing happening, like, where everybody assumes Batman's dead, and, like, the whole clone thing or whatever, but because, like, you know, Kevin didn't record the lines or whatever, Batman returns with, like, a non-speaking cameo role, or you just see him standing on a rooftop at the end, like Catwoman at the end of Batman Returns. Yeah, something like that. I'm not saying it is going to happen like that. Maybe Kevin recorded a bunch of dialogue, I don't know. But I'm just saying, yoink. But I would say, like, the writers are adamantly searching for a way to, and the fact that the story is going to continue through the DLC. Did I fail again? Oh, that sucks. The fact that the story is going to continue through the DLC or whatever, that means they're still adding to the story. They're not done with the DLC. Like, they're actually still making the game as we speak. So technically the game's not done. The first 9 hours of the game is done, which the first part of the story, which I call Chapter 1, like the death of the Justice League or whatever, like, that stuff is all, what's the word I'm looking for? That stuff was already done and ready to go, like, years ago. Like, the DLC chapters, they're like additions to the story, which in reality should have been how the whole story went to begin with. Like, they're not making you pay for the game, like, extra, but they could have. Like, just think about that. They could have actually had you pay per DLC for the additional story content. Like, continuously when they had the story already done, they just broke it up into different chapters. Probably like 2-hour chapters each DLC, or maybe even an hour chapter, I don't know. Where supposedly now each member of every season, one member of the Justice League is going to come back as like a NPC or something. Like, they'll be recuperating in the former Hall of Justice or Lex Tower or something. Who knows? Whoops. But yeah, that's the reasoning for my video is just explaining to people, like, why people were so upset. It's like a lot of people use the terminology, oh, it's just a multiverse Batman. It's like, he wasn't just a multiverse Batman. He was the the Batman that had transcended DC Comics and media in general. Like, Arkham Batman was more popular than comic book Batman, because comic book Batman was all over the place. Comic book Batman, at one point when the first Arkham games came out, he was trapped in time. And then when the next Arkham game came out, Batman was now much younger with the New 52. And then the next Arkham game, then they had another interpretation of Batman. So comics book Batman has been constantly changing to the point where he's not like that that pillar that he used to be. He's like a shaky foundation. He keeps changing like every 5 years. His personality keeps changing, everything. Arkham Batman was a untainted, perfect Batman that would have stood the test for time if they didn't resurrect him and then basically butcher his character for Suicide Squad. Which it feels like that was done deliberately by Sweet Baby Incorporated. Like, another one of those things that you love that you take and then you smear it and you prove that your product's better by making fun of it. And it does feel like they were trying to make like a dark comedy, but if that was the case, the Arkhamverse was like such a serious, like, R-rated universe. Like, this game is T-rated, right? This game is more serious and dark and complex than the Suicide Squad game. Like, Arkham City has more intense writing, and it has more darkness to it, to literally a game that's M-rated where your heads blow up. Think about that for a second. Suicide Squad feels like it's made for children. Like, the storyline is so juvenile, it's so simplistic, that it was definitely made to target kids. The Arkham games, Arkham Origins, all the way through Arkham Knight, were games that were targeted for adults and teenagers and college-age kids to play. And it's a very complex and intricate and well-woven story, but it also has a lot of mature themes. And I'm not just talking about the costumes that the girls wear. I'm talking, like, at its base level, this is a very dark storytelling. Like, it's very intense. Way more intense than Suicide Squad. You know, the biggest takeaway I had with the Suicide Squad game after I finished it, it felt like it was trying to do a bad version of what was the name of that game? The Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, the Guardians of the Galaxy game was a game that focused on a teamwork mechanic of 4 characters, right? But they were 4 likable characters. The Suicide Squad game forces the player to try to like the Suicide Squad, but they're unlikable. And the forced humor and, like, their weird way of talking, it doesn't really make the characters appear charming. It makes the characters appear kind of condescending and mean-spirited and not really fun to listen to. So it's like they have the opposite effect that they were trying to do with the Guardians of the Galaxy, which the conversations felt natural. The conversations in Suicide Squad feel so forced that you can tell it's poorly constructed. It's very badly written. There's nothing natural about it. And especially when they turn to each other and like, do you get the joke that I just said? The only character that actually has any type of connection with the audience, to some degree, because apparently King Shark says stupid stuff like off and on every once in a while. But King Shark is kind of like the in for the audience for the most part, because he doesn't like break away from the world of Metropolis too much. Every once in a while he says author insert nonsense, but it's not as much as all the other characters. Like, King Shark is kind of like that. His main part of the Suicide Squad is he has a tourist mindset. Like, he is from Atlantis and he doesn't really hate the surface world. There's a lot of things he wants to see. He would love to go to Gotham. He'd love to go to Coast City. You know, he wants to know more about human cuisine. They actually didn't really gloss over his character very much. They actually gave us stuff to work with for him, which was interesting. It's kind of like, okay, that's kind of a cool thing with him, you know? It's like he has more character development than both the heroes and the villains. Or rather, everybody's a villain in the game. Scratch that. It almost feels like, to me, that maybe King Shark was actually written by Sefton Hill, and all the other characters were written by Sweet Baby, and, that one Rocksteady writer. That one Rocksteady lady. Because if you look at the way that King Shark is written, it has some remnants of, past Arkham writing. Just a little bit. Not a lot. There's a little sprinkle here and there, but it does feel like it's a more structured character. He's consistent with his points. He's a very honorable character. I mean, they are trying to make him Drax. You know, he does feel like Drax. But out of all the other characters in the game, like, he's just, like, kind of that warrior pillar that says words of wisdom every once in a while, as well as he actually comments on the situation of the world. Like, most of the people that talk about what's happening with all the vaporized humans everywhere, the only one who shows any type of interest in what's actually happening into the metropolis is King Shark. And if you play as him, you actually get to hear some of his thought process on the whole invasion thing, and every once in a while he talks about his relationship with his dad. Like, he feels like he's a more grounded character. And the writing, for me, it feels similar to Sefton Hill for just that character, but it's a little different. Like, sometimes he becomes like a comedian too much. You know, like, he's kind of like that sweet, endearing, jokey character. But at the same time, also, he speaks a lot of sense and things like that, where the rest of the squad, you have no idea half the stuff they're going to do sometimes. Does that make sense? And so basically, my video that I'm working on, that I've been working on now for 3 days, with no sign of being quite there yet. Well, that messed up on me. But I just kind of go over the differences in Batman's personality, his previous games. I also spend a good, like, few minutes talking about when he's being tortured by Lex Luthor, how he whines and stuff, and all this other things that he never did. And show actual clips of Batman getting hurt in all the previous Arkham games, and how he never, even when he's been stabbed by needles and stuff like that, he never once made the sounds that he makes in the Suicide Squad game. Which, again, I really believe that the game was constructed as originally being its own universe, which is why it had, like, different characters that were dead in the Arkhamverse. And they planned on basically making a very dark, what's known as a black comedy, which is kind of like a R-rated and kind of very dark humor type thing. But along the way, they ended up changing, you know, how the game was actually gonna, the narrative of it. And that's when I believe they sent the game over to Sweet Baby Incorporated to get their, you know, approval and their thought process on how characters like Harley and Wonder Woman were handled, as well as, you know, a lot of the weird Twitter jokes. I really feel like in the beginning, when the game was worked on in like 2017 or 2018, stuff like that, it wasn't the mess that it became. And that's just my personal feeling. Like, I don't have any evidence to state otherwise, because most of the people I knew at Rocksteady left the company by like 2018, 2019. So, it's all conjecture, you know? But it's interesting, sometimes you actually see, like, we'll say the thumbprint of Sefton Hill in the Suicide Squad, though very briefly, and then it vanishes. But if you're familiar with his writing style from Arkham Knight and Harley Quinn's Revenge DLC, it's pretty apparent that he did something in the Suicide Squad game a little bit, but for the most part, his really good work is actually drowned out by all the noise. All the banter, all the weird cutscenes and other things. And that's a shame, because I think that the Suicide Squad game could have been good. But the story is definitely where it kind of all falls apart. It falls apart at the seams. There we go, we finally got all the medals. Hooray. Wincing Batman never does that. Yeah, when Batman gets stabbed in the butt, he goes, "I am vengeance, I am the no." Yeah. Yeah, he never did that. And I went back too, because to further my argument in my video, I show Batman get stabbed by Miley Cyrus. I show Batman get stabbed by the Joker, and literally, you see how far the knife goes into his shoulder. Like, you remember the scene where Batman has the cure and Joker's taunting him in the background, and Joker has the knife, and Batman is very dazed after fighting Clayface? Joker shows up behind him and stabs the entire knife up to the hilt into his shoulder. And he doesn't react. He grunts a little bit and he drops the cure, which if Joker was paying attention to Batman holding the cure, you know, then probably wouldn't have died, but, you know, Joker's going to be Joker. But Batman barely winces when literally he has to pull, and you can hear him pull the knife out. Like, Batman takes his hand, he goes up to the hilt of the knife, and he pulls it out, and it makes like that chunk noise when it's coming out of the flesh and bone. So, I mean, he really got hurt, but you have to remember that in the Arkham games, Batman was a character that was tolerant to pain. Like, he had built up his body to be almost like immune to pain. Like, because he would have to be. He'd have to be so conditioned that he could take a lot of punishment and freak people out thinking he's, like, not human. When he is shot by Arkham Knight in the Arkham Knight game, and he's shot in the appendix area or the abdomen or whatever, the bullet isn't enough to kill him, but the impact of the very powerful gun is enough to stop Batman's heart. So not only does he treat his wound, but if you notice, he actually takes out a thing of adrenaline and he injects it into his leg so that he prevents himself from having a heart attack, because his heart probably stopped from the impact. Did he cry or did he wince? Did he make a lot of noise when that happened? Just sounds like he has the wind knocked out of him, and then he's fine, you know? The same thing at the end. The same syringe that Lex Luthor uses on Batman and Suicide Squad is about the same size of the several, like, needles on Scarecrow's arm. You remember Scarecrow's weird, like, Wolverine claws in Arkham Knight? And he stabs Batman with the entirety of the poison, like, you know, fear toxin chemical claws. He injects it in the only part of the flesh that Batman has visible when he's tied to the gurney, which is his neck. So the needles go partway through his neck when he stabs Batman, and Batman doesn't say anything. So you're going to tell me that same Batman, when he's on the gurney, after being brainwashed by Brainiac, which is supposed to heighten his, you know, human qualities even more, that he is going to wince when, and do all that other stuff? No. It really feels like the people who wrote the Suicide Squad game just didn't pay attention to the Arkham games that were established, and maybe in the beginning they weren't actually writing a continuation of the Arkham games. You know, maybe they were doing their own thing, making like this kind of dark R-rated Harley Quinn TV show video game thing, and, you know, they were going to make fun of and do whatever to the Justice League, but for whatever reason the decision was to make the game based after the Arkhamverse, and then they had to scramble around to try to connect everything, and they didn't do their homework. So then they had this giant mess that doesn't work in connection with the previous games. It doesn't. It's impossible. And I'm going to prove it with my video. And hopefully I educate a lot of people, because I want to... My most important thing is I want to educate people, and I want their eyes to be open, because I'm tired of all the stupid things like, it's just a multiverse Batman. It doesn't matter if the Arkham Batman died. It's like, yes, it is. It does. It matters way more that it was the Arkham Batman that they basically ruined the legacy of, because that was an untainted character. Thank God they can never do anything to the animated series Batman, because Kevin is gone. You can't basically take the zombie corpse of Arkham Batman and ruin it with the agenda of today, because most of the actors have all passed away. Like, that series will always be timeless because it can never be resurrected. You can do a spiritual successor of it, but you can never actually make a sequel of it, because Batman is gone, Commissioner Gordon is gone, you have Harley is gone, Two-Face is gone, Mr. Freeze is gone. Like, more than half of the principal cast has been dead for years. You can't continue that. So, it will be untouched. After it finished wrapping up, it's done. Like, they can't mess with it. It is the only Batman property that we have that can never be screwed up. And I thought Arkham Batman was going to be that, and then the next Batman games would be all the ones that get screwed up by the, you know, the writing style of today, which is not very good. But I was wrong, because they basically reanimated the Arkham Batman's corpse and just kind of, like, dumped all over it. I didn't see that coming, to be honest. After 6 or 7 years of no Batman game, Arkham game, I was like, well, that's it. And then the Suicide Squad thing happened, I was like, oh no. After I saw the first trailer of the Suicide Squad game, I was like, that's not good. I have a bad feeling about this. End of the line. Yeah, but, I mean, you can't. That's why the animated series will always be timeless, that we can pass on a generation to generation as like this pristine, perfect adaptation of Batman, because it can never be messed around with. Like I said, you can make a, quote, spiritual successor, but you will never have that same magic, because the same team and the same voice actors for bringing that property to life the way it was will never be duplicated. Even when Bruce Timm tries to make a new show, he's even said that he has like this huge like chip on his shoulder that he can't overcome. And every time he tries to make an animated Batman movie or whatever, he's followed by like the ghost of the animated series. He just can't ever surpass it. It's like he made such a perfect product with his team that he can never, you know, transcend that. And that makes him agitated sometimes, because, you know, he already made this perfect product that he'll never be able to overcome. And that creates a lot of, like, creativity problems for him. Which makes sense.
Nightwing's mine.
Like, I, for one, I know what that's like. I made a viral video that's got 5 million views. It's a Batman documentary. I've never been able to duplicate the success of that. I've never been able to make a documentary that makes people watch for the watch time that was. I made some recent documentaries that I thought were just as good as the original, but it doesn't have that same magic. Didn't go viral, you know. And actually, some of the new documentaries are longer in watch time, and they still haven't gone viral. I feel like the newer documentaries are actually better edited and everything and have better points, but it just doesn't have that same impact that it did with viewers as that other one did. And it never will again. Like, I will never make a video like that ever again. You know, so in a sense, I kind of have that thing following me around like a phantom, because every Batman project I make, I'll never, ever achieve that again. And, you know, I've kind of come to terms with it. It is what it is. It's a bummer, but, you know, sometimes when I'm making videos, it's like I tend to judge my uploaded content based on that video, and I just can't, you know, I can't shake it. So I understand what Bruce is saying about how, like, you know, he can't fully either redo or make a better product than the animated series, but he still likes to make stories and all this other stuff, and he still likes to work on stuff, but he knows in his mind he's never going to achieve that same success again. It can't happen. Shoot a henchman in the head with a wrist dart. Okay. Use the disruptor on a henchman's gun. Let him try to use it and then take him down. During a silent takedown, perform a knockdown smash. Okay, so these are relatively easy. So why don't we do the headshot one first, and then we'll mess around with taking down other villains, and then we'll save 2 guys to do the last 2 things. That works. So, oh, that's not a wrist dart. Where's my wrist darts? That's a good place for his head.
The boss wants this.
Aha! That's one. All right. Weapon jam. Where else is there somebody?
Really? No one will miss him. All you've done is tell me you're here.
What?
God.
Well, I wasted all my stuff, so I got one. I caught him once with the dart.
This is no good. He won't wake up.
Whoops.
What the hell are we gonna do now?
What are you gonna do now? Not my problem.
We need to keep looking.
Alright, so that's 2 down. 2, 4, and a hostage guy. Alright, so I'm just gonna hang out here. So yeah, that's my plan. I don't know when I'll have the video done though, because like I'm literally I was shooting for Sunday, but I don't think it'll be ready until Saturday next week, because I want to take my time with it. I have a lot of clips in it.
Who will win?
I had to get clips of Batman being stabbed in the previous Arkham games to prove a point.
The rats running that maze like their lives depend on it.
And also, I am a firm believer that had you not messed with the Arkham canon, I think that the Suicide Squad game would have been more successful, because I feel that the gameplay is actually a triumph. The gameplay is fun. some of the gameplay mechanics are a little repetitive,
What's going on here?
but the game plays the way that it's supposed to. It's very seamless to go from shooting up enemies and then into like a melee attack. It'd be nice if the melee attacks offered a little bit more oomph and they were a little bit better done, but for the most part, for characters like Deadshot, his melee attack actually looks cool and flashy. The super moves are nice. Very easy to pull off. The traversal is fun. The thing that drags the game into the abyss is the story is just all over the place and it's so poorly handled. And unfortunately, they went out to make a joke product, like a R-rated parody of DC Comics characters, and they chose the Arkhamverse, which they didn't realize the fan base was as big as it was. Like, I didn't even realize the fan base was that big. I'm still kind of impressed and both proud of the people that stood up for the franchise, as it meant something to them. And even though you have like a small minority of people like bullying the people that stand up for, you know, the Arkhamverse, for the most part, we eclipse by millions the people that actually like the game. Like the quote-unquote haters are much bigger, and there's more of us than there is of them. And most of us aren't even haters, we just don't like the story, and we don't like what it means to the overall canon of the Arkhamverse. Even people who just played the games casually over the years. Oops. Uh-oh. Leave me alone! Yeah, you lost me because I ran away from you. Hehe.
I lost him. Oh, please. Looks like you're my hostage.
You took a hostage already? Really? Alright, well. Guy's like, you're my hostage.
This is not what I expected. Even you.
So we got one hostage guy. Oops. Did I take out too many of them? Did I miscount? I miscounted, didn't I? Oops. No, I can still pull this off. I just have to be patient, because we can sneak up behind him and do a knockdown smash. The guy who has the hostage, that's not a problem. We have to do the takedown correctly for the last guy, though, the weapon jam disruptor, so I have to wait until he gets up here. Yeah, I kind of overkilled it. I thought that I had more guys around than I did. I guess I got 2 in the zone, or my problem is when I'm really tired, sometimes my muscle memory kicks in from, like, playing Arkham games for 15 years. Like, I think that, like, I'm kind of on autopilot. I'm not really paying attention. But at the same time, it's like my hands are kind of like, yeah, we're playing Arkham stuff, so let's go. It's like you brain, just you talk. We got this. It's like a part of my brain is like in control of the character and all this stuff while I'm just talking about all kinds of very complex things. That's what happens when I'm really tired. So when Amber and I record like Tekken or Street Fighter, and she's like, I want to do like verses in the morning. It's like, I've been up all night. Are you sure that's a good thing? She's like, yeah, I think I could beat you. And it's like, I'm talking about all this stuff like while playing her, but like I destroy her because like I have no, I don't know. I see her as like an enemy or something like that. Like I'm playing online against somebody and I just go full in. Especially if I'm playing like a character or Law or I'm doing like Ryu or something. Like a match that's supposed to last 16 minutes for watch time ends up being like 5 minutes long. Like three rounds in 5 minutes. It's like, oops. Autopilot moment. Yeah, I mean, it also has to do with how long you've played the games too. Like you get very accustomed to how everything operates. You know what I mean? I think I'm safe to do this now.
You are all experienced.
Weapon jam. Use the disruptor, and then let him use it and take him down.
Fear. An emotion experienced in anticipation of some specific pain or danger. This is perfectly understandable.
What? Did I miscount? Oh, there was another one. I missed one. Whoops. I actually missed one. There was another one. Well, that's kind of good. What are you doing, Lake? Da 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 da.
This cannot be happening.
Oops! Oops! He might be okay. Yeah. Well, we gotta do it again. Yeah. He fell off the... He fell. It's not even that high! It's not even that high, guy. Come on. Weakling. Wasn't even that high. Okay, note to self. Throwing the stick at people's heads makes them fall off trains. Whoopsies. Whoops.
Arkham City. Screw anyone else who thinks they do.
Amber, you okay? Are you okay? You had a nightmare?
The performing monkey's currently searching for you, Nightwing.
I'm still
We'll
streaming.
find
It's
you.
10:30. You don't stream till 11:40.
Nightwing's mine.
Yeah, you okay? You're okay. The house is well lit. The cats are just fighting. You're fine.
We're in control here.
Okay, that's all right. I mean, I heard how you woke up, so I'm assuming that's what happened. May not be the smartest tool in the shed, but I can gauge that something spooked you. Yay!
Contains the cream of what is available in this godforsaken cesspit of a prison. You ignorant buffoons should consider yourselves nearly as intelligent as a retarded.
Oh, there it is.
Really?
Stop being mean to
No,
monkeys.
Miss Ham. All you've done is tell me you're here.
All you've done is tell me you're here.
I found someone.
Found someone. All right, let's try this again.
Come on, wake up! Damn it, he's out cold.
Oh, you wish I thought there is like medalless modes. Isn't that what
How are we
custom
gonna get
matches
out of here,
are?
man? Leave them. We've got more important things to be looking out for. Show yourself, chicken.
Wow, there's no music right now.
Are you feeling the pressure?
No, I'm not feeling the pressure. Maybe a little. Maybe a smidge.
This is not good.
5826. I don't know. Don't
Where's he
screw
gone?
up.
Someone, tell me where he is.
Don't screw up me. Yeah. So, I mean, I know most of you guys agree with me, so I'm like not trying to really reach out to my subscriber base like with that video. Because I already know you guys, like, you have common sense and you have a passion for the Arkham games and stuff, and you can see the inaccuracies and all the other problems that the game presents. What I'm trying to do with the video is I'm trying to use it as like kind of like a video guide for people so that they can wake up from whatever delusion they're living in, and they can see that it was never made with the Arkhamverse in mind. That's what my argument video will be, or my evidence-based video, whatever it is. Probably Daffy. I don't know. She'll tell me later.
Oh, this is very exciting.
She always does.
Who will win? Well, obviously that will be me. So, who will lose first? You or the rats running that maze like their lives depend on it?
Oops. Zelda, don't chew that.
You're not getting away from me.
Okay, Zelda chewed on the microphone wire. Well, if we cut in and out now, you know what's going on. Oh, that's not good. I don't even know why you did that.
Even I expected more than this. Not much.
I expected more than this.
Still,
Hey, if somebody actually
more
climbs on a
intellectual
train now, I
prowess
can
than
knock
we're
them off
currently
with my
showing.
stick. That's kind of fun. Of course, I need to make sure that I don't do it too much, because then we'll run into the same problem that we had before. But I'm tempted to do it. I want somebody to climb up here so I can just go wing. Because apparently this has more pushback than or excuse me, more knockback than a Batarang does, which is kind of neat, actually. So I'd like to put that theory to the test again. I mean, I still would argue, Sammy, that they actually don't have the story fully written yet. Like, they're still putting it together, and YouTubers and people on Twitter are going to make their life a lot easier because they can just copy what those people are saying.
This is really not good enough, Cretans.
I really have a feeling that the original way the Suicide Squad game was supposed to go is you were going to go and kill Justice League members throughout the multiverse. Instead of resurrecting your team or the Justice League or fighting the clones of them or whatever, like, you would end up going to, like, Earth 2 or Earth 3, and instead of fighting, like, Flash, like Barry Allen, you'd fight Wally West, or you would fight, instead of Superman, the boss battle would be Kara, or the boss battle would be Hal Jordan, or the boss battle would be Dick Grayson, Batman, something like that. Batman Beyond. Like, you just keep going through the multiverse, like, killing the Justice League as those 4 annoying characters. That's what I thought they were going to do. But now it's like, it seems completely different. And that probably changed over the past 6 months. Gotham Knights is canon to its own universe, but Gotham Knights will always be a one-off game. I don't ever see them making a sequel of it. Suicide Squad should have been its own brand too, because it probably would have been successful. If they didn't connect it to the Arkhamverse, I really am a firm believer that Suicide Squad would not have gotten the amount of hate that it got. There would be no reason to have an argument. Even I would be like, why would you be upset that Deadshot's black? He's black in this universe. My reasoning was, I didn't like the race swapping because it took an established character and they changed them, and then they said, oh, no, it's not Floyd, it's a different Floyd, but the other Floyd is a fake. So when they started saying that nonsense, that the Deadshot that we had, that Paul Dini made, was a fake, then I started to get enraged, because it's like, what are you doing? It's like you're messing with an established universe. But if they actually would have just been like, hey, this is our Suicide Squad universe, it's not connected to the Arkham game, we've got Deadshot, Harley Quinn, Killer Shark, Captain Boomerang, I'd be like, okay, cool, let's see where you go with this, you know? I always love when companies do something different when they create their own new worlds and their own new multiverse, but I hate it when they use established universes and then they ruin them. Just like, you know, for a long time I didn't like what Arkham Origins did because it made Swiss cheese canon of the future. I hated that. I still don't like it. I've mellowed with time, but my arguments are still the same about why it doesn't work. The last chapter of Arkham Origins does not work in the grand scheme of the Arkhamverse. It ruins Arkham Asylum.
Oh, boo! Are you scared?
That almost was so well timed, Riddler. If he would have said something else after the boo-hoo part, that was perfect. Oh, it's funny. In fact, the very simple argument that you guys can do, you could prove that Arkham Origins messes up canon with just like a few-minute discussion. It's very simple. I'll tell you how to do it. Okay, you want to know how to do it? Here you go. So, how you discredit the Arkham games, or not the Arkham games, how you mess up Arkham Origins and, like, say that it ruins the later Arkham games. In Arkham Asylum, for the very first time, Batman witnesses Bane transforming into a monster. In fact, Bane, Commissioner Gordon, and Batman are all terrified over the Titan drug that turns Bane into this monstrous, you know, very stupid, not aware of himself, monster creature. And then Joker, for the first time, uses Bane's experiments to start creating Titan monsters of his own. That was the first time it ever happened. But then you go to Arkham Origins, because Arkham Origins was just trying to recreate iconic moments throughout the Arkham City and Arkham Asylum in one game, because that's all they were doing, is they were incorporating boss battles and ideas from the previous games and incorporating it into Arkham Origins, and then they had to find a way for the story to fit. So the idea of Bane transforming into a monster, I've seen some people that are saying, well, not Rocksteady, WB Games Montreal covered their bases by saying, well, Bane lost his memory. It's like, that's great, but what about Commissioner Gordon and Batman? Did they lose their memory of Joker taking over the prison not once, but twice? And still being shocked that Joker took it over a third time in Arkham Asylum, when it's stated in the Arkham Asylum game that it's the first time it's ever happened? In fact, Batman is unprepared for it. He had a Batcave at Arkham Asylum just in case something ever happened, but he was not prepared for Joker and the inmates to take over all of Arkham Island and keep everybody hostage. That had never happened before, except it did happen before in Arkham Origins and Blackgate. That was the premise of those games. So if you remove the last chapter of Arkham Origins can safely and happily sit in the Arkham canon. But if you incorporate the last chapter, the Bane boss, the Joker taking over the prison, you can't fit it in, because you'd have to change Arkham Asylum. You would have to retcon elements of Arkham Asylum in order for it to be consistent. It doesn't work. Even Assault on Arkham doesn't work, because it's another time where the Asylum is taken over again. And it just, basically what it would do, from a story point of view, it would make Batman appear to be an idiot, because he had this thing happen 4 times, and when it happens again in Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, he's like, he has no idea how to be prepared for it. And he's a guy who's always prepared, a dude who always has contingency plans and, you know, knows how to deal with stuff. That's why Paul Dini's writing of Arkham Asylum was so compelling, because it made Batman kind of like he wasn't prepared for it. Batman basically had to freestyle and ad-lib throughout the entire game how he was going to take everybody down. It wasn't going according to his plan. You know? So, I mean, you would have to find a way of basically changing half of Arkham Asylum, that game, which is way better written than most of the other Arkham games. And that's how you would have it happily sit in the canon. For me, you have to get rid of the Bane fight at the end, because Bane never transformed into a monster. He may have used Venom, but he never used a Venom-Titan hybrid to turn him into that. As well as Commissioner Gordon and Batman, you would have to reference to them in the future that it happened previously. Because their reaction to it is that of like a horror movie or a horror video game. Because that's kind of what Arkham Asylum was. Arkham Asylum was a horror game. I don't know if people know this or not, but it was. It was designed as like a kind of like Rocksteady and Square's version of, or excuse me, Eidos's version of a horror game. And that's why it had like all these like kind of zoom in on their faces, and you can see like Bane's eyes pop out of his head when he transforms, and Joker's transformations, and the weird grotesque monsters, and the Killer Croc fight. Whereas Arkham City is more of like an action-adventure game, so they kind of changed the format. They went from Resident Evil style with like superhero gameplay elements from like Batman Begins, like for combat, and then Arkham City kind of shifted the tone. The tone shifted from horror to action-adventure, Assassin's Creed-ish. But yeah, that's how you would argue with someone that Arkham Origins can't all be canon, is because it disrupts the future. And the thing is, if you change the future, just one thing in the past, you change in the past for the future, you mess up the future of what it was going to be. Like, even a blade of grass can, like, you know, destroy an entire town or something in the past. Like, you have to be very careful if you time travel. So when, like I said, they weren't trying to mess up the timeline when Arkham Origins made their game. They were just trying to make a good game, and they were trying to do a tribute to Arkham Asylum and Arkham City boss battles. And they weren't really paying attention to where the story fit in the grand scheme of things. Same thing with Blackgate. Blackgate was written at a different time than Arkham Origins. Both games released at the same time, but they were written by two different teams. They both had the same idea of taking over the prison because they were all kind of trying to do a soft reboot of Arkham Asylum. I actually got the guy who wrote Blackgate to confess that. He said, well, I really liked Arkham Asylum, so I was trying to do my own Castlevania-esque version of it. You know? So that's why both Blackgate and Asylum have, like, take over the prison elements, is because they're kind of trying to do a tribute to all the games that came, you know, before it. Which is why the gameplay is so good. But when these companies make the story, they don't actually go out of their way to make it connect correctly. They just say it's connected, but when you ask them how does it work in the future, they're just like, Did I interrogate him? No. I was very nice to the Blackgate guy. I didn't interrogate the Arkham Origins guy. I just asked him a couple questions and he stormed off. Everybody thinks like I berated the guy or like, was, what did you do to the cannon? I didn't do any of that. I just asked him like a couple questions. He spilled the beans on some stuff and Warner Brothers said I couldn't air the interview. And they called my editor. That was it. I didn't actually go out of my way to embarrass the guy or, try to like attack him or anything like with words. I asked him some very loaded questions, but they were done like very professionally. And Sefton, I didn't go to Sefton and be like, what did you do to the cannon? I just sat down and talked with him for like 5 minutes. He was drinking his coffee at E3 and I was drinking ginger ale and we were setting up our camera and I was just asking him what I could talk to him about the game before it came out. And I don't remember, like, I don't think I brought up Paul Dini because that was a trouble spot. I might have said something that ruffled Sefton too much, but I mean he still did an interview that we had the transcript for my company that I worked for. And they got the transcript interview, but I think he might have said something about... I remember asking him about Jason Todd being the Arkham Knight, and he denied it. At E3, I was like, so... I was in the middle... We're in the middle of the interview, and I'm like, so, how does it feel to change Jason Todd from Red Hood to the Arkham Knight? And he was like, I'm sorry, what? I said, yeah, why did you make him the Arkham Knight? And he's like, the game's not out. I said, oh, I know. I was just... And he's like, Red Hood is DLC. I said, oh, I know, but I'm thinking Red Hood has, 2 identities in the game. And he's like, So, that might have been why he got a little miffed with me. I don't know. I just said it very casually. There was no information that was true. I was just talking about it. I can't help that I'm smart. Like, it was pretty obvious from the trailer that it was Jason. Yeah. But, I mean, I didn't like how in the past, like, Rocksteady, like, were adamantly denying that Jason Todd was going to be in the game as Arkham Knight. Even though later it's like, Jason Todd's going to be DLC for Arkham Knight. Then who's the Arkham Knight? I guess you have to play the game to find out, because it's not Jason Todd. It's like, I don't know if people remember that, but I do. I remember them adamantly dodging everything about the Arkham Knight and Jason Todd for like 6 months until the game came out. And then afterwards they're like, aha, the fake out. It's like, nah, that fake out didn't work as well as the fake Joker gag, which I admit, like, I didn't see the fake Joker thing coming, I believe, when we first played through the game. Maybe I did, but I think I was really interested in the story that I didn't even think about that it could have been 2 Jokers. Even some of the thug dialogue, I wasn't really paying attention as extensively as I probably should have. But again, that was over 15, 11, 12 years ago, so I don't remember what my original reaction was. I'm lucky if I can remember what my reaction to a game was a year ago, let alone, like, all those years. I just remember, like, some of the interviews that I've done, and they stuck out to me based on the outcome of said interview. But The Sefton one was always funny to me. And he was very gracious. He wasn't mean or anything. He didn't, like, storm off in a huff like the Arkham Origins guy. Arkham Origins guy had, like, a chip on his shoulder. Felt like it. I'm like, how dare you question how we make a game after Rocksteady's thing using their engine and all kinds of stuff. I'm just paraphrasing. He didn't say that stuff, but, like, it was interesting that basically they were using Arkham City's engine and they just kind of built up on it. Like, they didn't actually make the world for their Batman game. They were using someone else's creation to basically make, like, a Gary's Mod version of Arkham. I mean... I happen to like that Gary's Mod version of Arkham, though. Nightwing's not here! What? Aha! Time for you, grenade. Whoa, what just happened? Oh, the grenade caused the game to freeze up a little bit.
I lost him. We gotta find him now. He's disappeared. Where the hell's he gone?
Huh? Oh shoot. I can't take them out. I need to save some. That's right. I have to what do I need to do again? I need to do weapon jam and I need to do knockout smash.
Got it.
Oh, there's more of them than I thought there are. What? Is that somebody's crumpled body? What is that? Looks like you're my hostage. Eh? Okay. Alright, so just wait for these idiots to come up here. So now I know there's two of them. If I could get them through the train, that'd be funny. No, not gonna happen. Batman Arkham Miles Morales. Ouch. No. Yeah, but I've heard other people say the story like I was very rude to the WB Games Montreal and Blackgate people. I was not. Rude? See, my version of rude is different than your version of rude. My version of rude is like somebody who's condescending and they're very like we'll say very they kind of interrogate the person, like they're angry. You know, that's what I interpret as rude. I don't think sarcasm is rude. I think it's funny. So I was just kind of sarcastic and witty with my questions and things like that. I was trying to make the interview fun. Because, I mean, I was watching most of the interviews, and the people were like, so how does it feel to make a game better than Arkham City? And then they'll say, oh, you know, we were just trying to do this, and we were excited about this and this. And, you know, they're just... The questions were just very one-dimensional, and it was like, that wasn't fun. So then, you know, I came up with some very unique questions that I think got the job done. And I got people talking, which I think a good reporter... If you're able to get the interviewee to talk, that's a good thing. Because then they tell you things that they shouldn't. Because they feel comfortable. Those interviews were never able to air. The transcripts were posted on a website that's been mothballed for years. You have to remember, I was a game journalist from the years 2004 until 2014. The last company that I worked for on the internet actually went under. Everybody lost their job. Most of the publications that I've worked for are all gone. They don't exist. OneUp.com went and merged with IGN. Got Game lasted until the year 2023. It was founded in the year 1998, and it ran until 2023. The Nintendo blog site, Nintendo blog site was on around from 2005 until 2006, and then when the Wii U came out, they tried to stick around, but they didn't. They lost their hosting with oh, what was the name of that host company? Was it GoDaddy? I don't remember. It was some domain name website, like, said they missed a payment, so they scuttled their website, and then that Nintendo fan site was gone. I almost wrote for Go Nintendo, but I didn't get the job. And they weren't offering anything anyway. It was a European thing. I only worked at a place called Game Zone in Florida for 2 years. And as far as I know, I think they're still around. But when I quit the company, they erased all my videos. I had video series known as Luke's Initiative. I had Be the Guide. And I did several written works for them. And I believe when I left, they erased everything, which I thought those guys liked me, so I was kind of annoyed by that, because I used to be able to point people to where my reviews were back in the day. When people had asked me on Twitter, it's like, yeah, here, go read my stuff, but it's all gone. It sucks, but I mean, that's what happens, you know? Even someday IGN won't be here forever. In fact, IGN is now unionized. They probably just set the death tone for their company. Because those unions tend to mess up those type of companies. So IGN did start in the 90s. Whether or not they make it to the 2030s, I don't know. They've been the oldest running video game website, too. They've been around a long time. But they succumbed to the union stuff. And not just any union, it's a DEI union. Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Union. So, Amber was joking with me. She was like, it's interesting that they gave Suicide Squad a poor review, and then all of a sudden they joined, like, this new, union thing. She says, I don't think they're gonna have fair and balanced reviews anymore. I was like, I didn't even think about that. But I was like, I'm sure that deal has been going on for years, though, and they just finally finalized it. Because I remember them talking about going union before the pandemic in 2019, so... It does feel like kind of a coincidence, so... The game gets a bad score, and all of a sudden they join one of those types of unions. IGN's midness will let them survive forever. I guess we'll see. I mean, I know people there. I've known people at IGN for a long time. There's still some people there that I remember. Destin's been there a long time. Destin's a cool guy. Destin was almost my boss. Which is weird because he's so much younger than me. But he's a bigwig over at IGN. Oops. You didn't hear that. Don't investigate that. Is he investigating it? Wait, is he on the bridge? No. He's not on the bridge. Where did he go? You guys are super annoying, you know that? Not you guys, the guys there just kind of hanging out. So, the coolest thing that I wanted to do is I almost got to work for the IGN Start team, which was basically like a YouTube channel network. And they were going to pay me twice what I was making with Maker Studios. And I was going to have lots of responsibility, and I wasn't going to have to move to California. I'd basically get to do the same job I was doing with my Arkham City lore videos and my Let's Plays, except I would have the IGN brand. And it was a very good deal. I had a sign-in bonus and everything. And I was trying desperately to get out of my contract with GameStation, aka Polaris, which was owned by Disney, because like they had been doing a lot of shady stuff, and I had waited patiently to get out of my contract. So I gave them 30 days notice, and they had a conniption. Like they went crazy. Polaris and GameStation did, probably because they didn't want Amber and I to pull out of the network because they were siphoning our income for years. And, you know, basically they went up to IGN and they threatened IGN. So then I got a phone call from my friends at IGN and they said I couldn't work for them. And then I got another, like, phone call from GameStation. They said if I go to another company before, like, a 2-year period, they were going to sue me. And I was like, what? So I had to go reach out to the guy who became my network manager, Travis. And I went to his network, and he took care of all the, you know, he put out the legal fires that were going to happen. But, yeah, Polaris was going to sue me, or Disney was, for... I did exactly what it said. In California law, you have to give at least 30 to 60 days notice if you're going to leave a company. So I was actually doing everything by the book, and I was really happy, and I found a new job to go to. IGN was going to wait for me. Everything was perfect. And these Californian weirdos basically ruined my... they tried to ruin my career. All because, I mean, they were pulling some shady stuff by siphoning my income. If that would have happened today, you know, probably they would have gone to jail. I don't know. But, you know, back then, nothing happened. I almost ended up losing my YouTube channel. In fact, it got so bad that what they were going to do is they were going to prevent me from making YouTube content for 2 years. They would own the rights to my channel. And I wouldn't be able to do anything based on a non-compete clause. So I lost everything. Like, I had to go and basically start over... with my YouTube channels under a new network label and everything. And it was pretty scary because for, I think the first, like, 6 months, Amber and I really thought that Disney was going to sue us because they threatened it. And we didn't have that much money. We were, you know, very small. We had, like, maybe 300,000 subscribers and, you know, we were getting millions of views, but, yeah, it was pretty scary. I think that's the scariest YouTube story I've ever had. And what's funny is most of the Maker Studios partners turned out to be super shady and bad people. But at the time, I thought they were good people. But who knows? I mean, I really think the reason why GameStation got mad at us for wanting to leave them is because no one left the GameStation, for one. And also, they were probably using our channel and other channels as a way to, you know, sweeten the deal for other channels. Because Amber and I didn't think we were making that much money. Because our paycheck was very small for years. And then when we went to a network that was considerably smaller and not owned by a massive corporation anymore, we made more money. Like, a lot more money. Which I remember, like, I had to call my network manager because I was like, I think there's a mistake because we've only been getting this amount of money for like 2 years every month. And they're like, no, that's correct. That's your ad revenue. I was like, that's not possible. I could buy a new car. And they're like, yeah, no, weren't you making that with your previous network? I said, no. And I told the guy, and he, like, fell out of his chair. He was like, you were getting millions of views, and this is what they were paying you? He said, where'd the money go? I said, I don't know. He says, now I understand why they tried to sue you. Well, I said, that's dishonest. He says, welcome to the business. It's like, what the heck, man? So, yeah, I had to, as a 20 or 30-something-year-old, I really learned how bad YouTube was and how shady, like, some of those networks were. It was kind of like the Wild West back then, and there was really no way to protect partners. I don't think there still is. Networks don't exist anymore, so the only person who pays you now is YouTube, but it was a very weird time back then. So that's why I stayed a game journalist for so long, is because I had to have another form of income, because I couldn't trust YouTube. People were like, why did you stay a game journalist after YouTube took off? It's like, I needed the money. My game journalist job is how I paid for food and other things. Like, I didn't know what YouTube was going to do. YouTube didn't look like it was a stable thing. Boink. Part of me still wishes I wrote, you know, and stuff like that, because I'd have, like, a side income, but, like, the game journalist place got too crazy, you know? Game journalism is nothing like it used to be. So, that would never happen again, obviously. I did at one point actually have my own website where I used to write. But, I mean, I didn't learn the lesson from, what was it? Not Go Nintendo. From that Wii blog site. That Wii Nintendo fan site. I made the same mistake they did. I've actually had several of my websites, like, actually deleted by the web host because I missed a payment, or, like, I forgot to renew my contract with them, and then they deleted my entire website. And it didn't matter how much data I had on or whatever, they just scrubbed everything. I also remember 1 year, it was back during Arkham Knight, we had a kwing.com website or whatever, and it was actually a pretty well-made website. It was doing about 500,000 views, like, traffic-wise, and it was really, you know, helping out our brand a lot, right? But what happened was, I'm trying to remember, I believe the company that owned it wasn't GoDaddy, it was another, like, web hosting site, and they went out of business, and then overnight, like, I went to go to my website because I was trying to update it for an article that I'd written, because we had went to, like, PAX or something. I went to my website, and I typed in our website, and it said, this website doesn't exist. And then I went to where the web hosting site was, and they were gone. Like, they just disappeared overnight. So, I don't remember the name of the web hosting site, but there was more than one than, like, GoDaddy is the one that survived, but there was at least, like, 3 other, like, cheap web hosting sites where you could get domains and stuff, and one of them just, like, abruptly disappeared in 2015, and I can't even remember the name of it. Either it merged or it just, like, ended services, I don't know. Well, gaming journalism now is known as activism, or as I like to call them, hacktivists. Like, they don't really care about necessarily how their writing impacts gamers or any of that stuff. Their goal in the long run is they're just trying to, how do I put this? They're just trying to use whatever type of career they have as, like, a stepping stone for working at, like, CNN or some type of news agency. Like, it really doesn't matter if they do anything to make game journalism look shady or stupid. That's not on their priority list. Their priority list is they're trying to use the gaming space in order to build up their career into something else. Like, a lot of them aren't even gamers anymore. They don't. If you try to quiz them on stuff on Twitter, they don't know half of it, and they won't even go to they won't even go to Wikipedia to, like, just look up something because they're not even pretending to be a gamer. Just like most of the people that write anime reviews, they don't even watch anime. They're just there to write about all kinds of weird stuff. Like, I've seen a lot of anime reviews. Like, they don't even talk about the show. They talk about things like the male gaze and how it's inappropriate that the girl is 16 or 15 or whatever, when they don't realize that our laws don't dictate the rest of the world. There are some countries where a woman is an adult at the age of 15. Or you can get parental consent to be married at the age of 16 or 14. Like, a lot of these localizers and people who, you know, do all this anime stuff in America, they only pay attention to what life and the law is in America. They don't actually research what's going on in other countries. They don't care. So they try to mandate their philosophy and police the rest of the world. So when they make these, like, really rude statements to the Japanese people that, you know, these girls are blah, 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 and they're doing this and they're doing that, and they're spreading this false narrative, in Japan, the age of consent is much younger than over here. Which is, you know, it's 18 years old in America. In Japan, it's like 4 years younger. And some countries, it's even younger than that. You know? So when they used to dub shows in the 90s, they would have female characters all be 18 or 17 years old. Like, they would change the name or the age. So instead, for example, Sailor Moon, the characters were always in junior high until they're actually in high school, like in later seasons, right? In America, you have the original Sailor Moon dub from the 90s. All the girls were either seniors in high school or they were 18-year-old sophomores. It's true, though. That's what they used to do. They would age up the characters. And I kind of wish they would do that now instead of, like, all this weird stuff that they talk about on Twitter. And, like, all these anime people when they're making fun of, like, dubbing these characters and they're doing all this stuff. Why don't they just do what they did in the 90s and just change the age of the characters? We already know that they don't care about the source material because they don't even translate correctly. So why don't they just age up the characters for their country? Then that solves the problem. You know? Because the only one that brings attention to that they're so concerned about it is them. Like, no one else does. Riot. Don't screw up. Based is a good thing, right? I'm wicked tired, so I don't really remember a lot of the Gen Z terminology. I used to know what it meant, but I can't remember right now. Okay, so where are we? Ooh. Well, somehow that ended up working out. How goes... None of the Final Fantasy streams are at 1,000 views yet? Uh-oh. Final Fantasy 3 is at 970 views. Final Fantasy Part 4 is at 946. Why? That ain't good. That ain't good at all. Nope. Cap is lying. Based is true? Okay. Okay. But... Based. I'll try to remember that. That's an easy explanation of that. Whoa! Excuse me. So this is gonna be like my last go, and then I have to prep Amber's stream, and then I'm gonna go pass out upstairs. But yeah, I mean, I've seen industry change so much over the years. That the only way that I could quote-unquote be a game journalist nowadays is if I actually open my own company, and I'm not doing that again because I don't know if the website is mysteriously going to disappear someday again. It's hard to keep track of the payments because some websites, when you open an LLC, they like, sometimes they charge you like $500 a year to redo your LLC, and some places they'll keep your LLC as something that you only have to renew every 5 years. But it's like, you have to really pay attention to what company you work with, because some company could actually be, you know, having more fees to keep your website and keep your business license going or whatever. So it's like, you really got to do your research with stuff, and it's hard to keep track of all that stuff. Like, I still have my... I don't even know if I'm, like, technically a journalist outside the state of Massachusetts, because according to Boston, Massachusetts, Amber and I are both certified United States Press, but I don't know if that actually works all over the U.S., or if it's just good in Boston. I've never asked them that. And I don't even know if I'm supposed to renew that every 10 years or not, because it's probably been 10 years now. No, 2015 is when I got my... my official certification or whatever. So it probably is a 10-year thing, so I would probably have to go to Boston to renew that. I don't know, though. But I thought it was... your press credentials were good anywhere in the world once you had your license or something. Or your ID or whatever it was called. I don't remember. I only used that thing to get into trade shows and like press events in New York City, so I didn't even really use it that much. Whoop. Whoop. But I liked having it because then when people would say, you're just a YouTuber, it's like, no, I'm actually a U.S. press. I'm United States Press, thank you very much. But I can't show them my little badge thingy because it has my real name and address on it. But it was fun having it. I thought it lasted as long as a passport, though. But I don't remember. My passport expires soon. I think my passport expires in 2026. I'm gonna have to... I hope they'll use the same picture, because I don't like taking pictures. It was a good picture I took for that, credentials thing. Or whatever it was. And actually, I didn't pay that much money for it. I'm trying to remember how much it cost. It was under $1,000, I know that. Well, the problem is we were in the Boston Town Hall for a long time. That wasn't fun. And I think it was snowing too, so we were kind of stuck there for a while. But if you open an LLC, every state you live in has like different business operations, like through your house or whatever, that you have to adhere to. So, ow. Whoop. Yoink. Did I already get 3? I didn't get 3 yet. I got 3! Hooray! Ouch. I don't think I'm on muscle memory anymore, guys. I'm kind of like... I'm dragging a little bit. Whoops. Have any of you... You know when you've been up a long time? Let me ask you guys if you've ever felt this sensation, because this happens to me. This is how I know I'm kind of like in dangerous territory. This is how I know I've been up too long. Or I haven't gotten enough sleep. When I've been up like past 14 hours or something like that for something, I've noticed, or I only got like 3 hours sleep or 4 hours sleep, my arms have this weird tingling sensation in them. It's like I'm having perfect circulation in my arms, you know, or whatever, but all of a sudden I feel like kind of like this lightheaded, kind of like weightless feeling. And my arms particularly, like, my arms usually feel pretty weighted down, right, normally. So when I'm wicked tired, or I've been up and pushing myself and doing lots of uploads or writing stuff or researching or whatever I do, I notice, like, after a certain point, I start to feel, like, in my arms, like, from the wrist all the way up to the elbow, it's kind of like this light kind of tingling sensation. Yeah, that's how I know I'm pushing myself too far. And kind of like when you move around, you kind of feel like you're seeing like speed trails, or you're just like, everything's kind of like your head is heavy, but your body's wicked light. I don't like that. So, I mean, once I go upstairs, when Amber's shift starts, I'll probably just collapse in bed, and when I wake up, it'll be 6 in the morning. Ow. But, I've told people this before, but I have the weirdest way of playing games when I'm tired. Like, to try to get rid of the tingling sensation in my hands. Like, most people, you probably play the controller with it, like, down at your side, right? I developed this really weird method that I don't know why I play like this, but when I'm, like, wicked exhausted, especially when I was grinding in RPGs, the elbow, like, your right elbow rests behind your head, and, how do I explain this? So my right elbow is behind my head, kind of propping my head up so I don't fall asleep. And then I have, like, the controllers off to the... Or, sorry, it's on the left side. The elbow is propping up right behind my left ear. It's keeping my head up. And, the right side, the hands are behind my head, and the controller is actually upside down. It looks so weird, but it's incredibly comfortable for me to play like this when I'm, like, so exhausted. And you can see it doesn't really impact my game very much. I'm just so accustomed to it. I've been doing it for like 10 years, I think. Only when I'm tired, though. Like, I don't think I ever showed people on a webcam when I was doing webcam stuff, because I thought it looked ridiculous. But it's like, I don't know. I guess that added pressure, like with the elbow on the back of my head, it, like, you know, it doesn't hurt, but it's like pressure is there, so you know that, hey, you know, stay with me. It's not time yet. Make that a Fortnite emote. I'm not on Fortnite's radar. Years ago, they offered, when they first started Fortnite, they offered to make me a partner, and I said no. And then whenever I was actually interested in, like, hey, I have a lot of my fans that actually would like me to be a creator for Fortnite because they play the game a lot. They play the game more than me. I told them I had all these fans that played the game, and they're just like, we're not looking for partners. And then, like, the next day, they announced, like, this big partnership with a person who has, like, less subscribers than me and less views. And they play Fortnite every day, and I was like, you told me there wasn't any partnership opens. And then the partner person said, we just had an opening. It's like, but you said you'd let me know. Click. It's like, okay, I see how it is. Kwings rotten luck. But yeah, the only reason I ever wanted to be a partner is, like, yeah, the commission stuff is cool, but also, like, you guys play so much Fortnite that it would have been nice if, like, our community actually could have supported the channel and stuff like that. But we don't have G Fuel, we don't have Epic partnerships, we don't have any of that stuff. We never have. Almost, but not quite. Whoops, where did she go? Oh. Okay, she's trouble. Goodbye. Stand up, fool. Stand up, fool. Why are you not standing up? Whatever, you're done. We aren't getting a Nintendo Direct, are we? I don't know. I mean, it skipped a year in 2020 because of the pandemic. If we get a Nintendo Direct, it will be a mini one, probably. Why are they saying there's no Nintendo Direct? Is there official confirmation? Because, I mean, it's just been speculation that it's going to happen. And also, it's only February 9th. Isn't the Nintendo Direct supposedly happening the 15th or the 16th? Oh, so you're just like, you haven't heard evidence of it happening, so you're just kind of like, it's probably not happening. With Nintendo, the thing that I can tell you about Nintendo Directs is their pattern for doing things is the rumors start up like a month before, and the Nintendo Direct rumor for February has been going on for over a month now. And the other thing that they do is, like, they don't really like scoopers, and they don't like people that announce, like, leakers and things like that. So what Nintendo will do is they won't give people any time to prepare to, you know, have their schedule so they can live stream it or whatever. And, like, literally the night, it's usually 48 hours before their event, they make an announcement on their Twitter. Usually Twitter Japan is first. So if you really are, you know, trying to find out stuff about Nintendo Directs, Japan is earlier than us in time zone wise. So you always want to hang out on their Twitter pages or Facebook or whatever, because they'll announce it first, and then usually like 5 or 6 hours later, then you'll see the news drop on Nintendo of America. Because when it's 10 a.m. here in the East Coast, it's like 3 or it's either 2 p.m. or it's 4 p.m. in Japan, I think, the next day. But I used to know all my international time zones because I used to work with a lot of companies. I don't really have a lot of international contacts anymore, so I might not be remembering it 100% anymore. But usually that's the trick of the trade, is we used to pay attention to what the Japanese websites and newsletters were doing with regards to, like, Nintendo Direct and whatever stuff was going to be dropping. That's how it usually worked. That was the trade secret that IGN and a lot of these other places would do to get their scoops up, is they pay attention to Japan, because Japan's earlier than us. They get the news first, usually. But like I said, they do that because Nintendo they don't like it when people stream and do all that other stuff. they like to make people, because usually what happens is YouTubers, not all of them do this as a full-time job, right? So they try to get time off, or they have to fit it into their schedule if they're like a live streamer or something like that. And Nintendo doesn't give people too much time. So I mean, I wouldn't expect them to announce it like giving people like a week in advance. If they do a Nintendo Direct, it'll only be like you'll have 48 hours notice if you're lucky. That's just how they work. Okay, so what time is it? I can't read the clock. It's kind of fuzzy. I managed to do it. I managed to somehow live stream for 2 hours talking about utter nonsense and just letting muscle memory do its thing. Haha. What was I supposed to do now? I was supposed to do something. Oh, Amber doesn't know where my Sims game is, so I need to find that. That's gonna be interesting. No, I know what time it is. That's not what I mean. I mean I have to do stuff. What happens if I want to see something? Too many things going. Like the tingling sensation in my hands is getting worse. It's like it feels like a superpower. Like maybe I might be getting spider powers or something. But it's like it's not like your hands going asleep. It's kind of like, hey, your body's telling you you might have been up too long this time. You might be pushing it, old man. Maybe a little bit. Ease off the gas a little bit there. Might be overdoing it just a smidge. I could fall asleep sitting up. That's how tired I am. I could do that. Question: Arkham City Nightwing versus City Nightwing. I would give it to City Nightwing because he's younger, but Arkham Nightwing has more gadgets. Arkham Nightwing has smoke pellets, electrical gun. Wait a sec. No. Arkham Knight does have more gadgets than Nightwing. In Arkham City, I'm pretty sure. Because we don't have the REC gun in this one. And I'm sure he has the dart thing in Arkham Knight, but I can't remember. I haven't done very many challenge maps with Arkham Knight. I don't really like the challenge maps in Arkham Knight. I don't like the AR thing. It always felt lazy to me. I didn't like it. It's like I like the attention to detail of Arkham Asylum and Arkham City and Arkham Origins, like combat maps, Predator things, and combat beatdown stuff. I didn't like the AR stuff in Arkham Knight. It felt kind of lazy, and everything was all like a computer simulation. Enter couch potato mode? No, my bed is comfortable, man. I have one of those, I don't even remember what the name of the company is, but there was a company that used to sell mattresses on YouTube, and Amber and I got a deal for it because of working with some publisher. I don't remember, it was years ago. And that is probably the nicest mattress I've ever had in my life, but once you get on that mattress, you're done. If you're tired, you're done. It's like, oh, I managed to make it, and then done. Enigma and Kill the Justice League is annoying. Troll. He's always annoying. Every game Enigma's annoying. Enigma Mystery Man. He's always annoying. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Like when you're really tired, you can actually sound inebriated because your brain has been put to a state of like exhaustion. Just like when you drink a lot, it does things to your head. If you've been up for like 14 to 20 hours, um, your functioning, your mental capacity all goes down, goes slow until you get enough sleep to kind of revitalize your body. And stuff. Useless trivia no one cares about. But you can, if you are tired enough, you won't fail a breathalyzer, but you'll still get like if I went driving right now and I got in an accident or I ran a red light and I got pulled over by a cop, he would make me get out of the car and walk, and then when I passed the breathalyzer test, he would be like, "You're too tired to be on the road. You're going to jail." You know, because you can't, you're not supposed to operate a motor vehicle when you're tired. You're supposed to pull over to the side of the road and sleep, or you're supposed to get off the road. It's bad. So you can get in just as much trouble as, well, not as much trouble as alcohol, but because you get a DUI, you're sunk. You get stuff on your license and stuff like that. But if you're tired, you'll still spend a night in jail, probably. I have almost had it happen. Luckily, I lived like 5 minutes from home, and they let me go home, but was coming back from a graveyard shift, and I was like all over the road, and the guy pulled me over because he thought I was drunk, and I had just gotten off a 12-hour shift working at a power plant as security detail. I was 20, 21, 22, something like that. It was right before Amber and I got married. It was like 6 months to a year before we got married. I was a security guard. And I had not given up my gaming hobby, so before I went to work, I was up all night. So not only did I work the graveyard shift at a power plant as a security guard, but I played through an entire game the night before, and I was on soda and I think 5-hour energy and something else to stay awake to go to work because I didn't get a chance. I only got like 2 hours of sleep, I think, because I stayed up all night. I had to finish that game because I had to return it to Blockbuster. Yeah. Anyway, I need to do something. I don't even remember what I'm doing. I have to do something. Something. That out of the way. Like that. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Hey, what are you doing? Get out of there. Troublemaker. Oh, are we still online? Hello. I think I forgot to turn off the equipment. Don't tell anybody, though. Wii U was such a cool system. I'm amazed at the when I unplugged the Elgato, it didn't mess stuff up. Yes, this is K-Wing after 3 hours of sleep after being up for 18 hours the day before. So I feel funky. I feel really weird. Whoa! I think I broke it. It says no signal anymore, so I think I broke the system. Oh, wait. There it is. There's a blast from the past. How many people remember this system? There you go. I did it. I set it up. I invented autopilot. I can do a lot of stuff. I could juggle right now. Probably. Although it'd be kind of hard. I used to be able to juggle. I don't know if I could. I haven't tried to juggle in years. I used to be able to juggle 4 balls at once. Maybe I could do 2 still, or 3. I don't know. It didn't look like juggling though, but it felt like it. I have the power to travel between consoles. Yes. Yes, I do. Okay, I'm gonna go pass out now. You guys are awesome. We didn't get super chat. We did get a super chat. We got a super. When did we get a super chat? When did that happen? F in chat for Tim Drake. Dang, you said you would unite the Bat Fam, not divide them. Huh? Ow. I said I would unite the Bat Fam. What did I do? I've only been talking about Suicide Squad. I don't remember saying anything about Tim Drake. Not recently. Did I? Oh well. Alright, so we got a, the F in the chat for Tim Drake. Dang yous. You ours? Dang yours. It said you would. Unite the Bat family, not divide them. I don't know what that means, Ivan. Ivan, can you do context? Hello? I'm gonna be pondering this all night. I don't know what it means. Alright, I'm done. Okay guys, my Sims soon-ish. I'll leave that to Amber. I'd set it up. I did my job. Okay. He means Rocksteady, but Tim is. He means Rocksteady. Oh, RS. Okay, whatever. Later. Oh yeah, go watch Final Fantasy because it needs. Final Fantasy needs help. 980, 950. Still not 1,000. You ruined my snowman bag, you stupid cat. I like that bag. That was my Christmas bag. Hey! Both of yous, knock it off. That was a nice bag.